The war was over. The last of the Karkal ships had vanished beyond the edges of the Ellerin star system. The people of Alaris, with the help of the Deathworlder fleet, had stood strong and survived. There were no great celebrations that day. No loud parades. Just quiet moments. Hugs between friends. Soft tears. Long walks under the sun. Peace, at last. Lisa stood on a hill above the city of Aurelian. The towers were no longer broken. The lights were no longer out. Children laughed in the streets again. Alarin banners flew alongside Earth flags, swaying gently in the wind. And yet, Lisa's heart still carried something heavy. Not fear. Not grief. Something she didn't quite understand. Something like distance. Not between her and Kale. Not anymore. He was safe, and they were close again. They spoke every day, worked together, even laughed. But a part of her still felt unsure. Lost in the quiet after the storm, it was strange. She had fought so hard to bring him back, so hard to bring her world back, and now that she had. She didn't know what came next. Kale, too. It felt that strange silence inside him. He walked through the halls of the communication tower, now fully repaired and shining like a star in the city. He passed human engineers packing up their equipment and Lauren children drawing. Colorful peace signs on the walls. He should have felt proud. He did. But there was something else. A feeling he hadn't expected. The feeling that maybe his journey wasn't finished yet. He had found his way back to Lisa, back to his people, but he hadn't quite found himself. He didn't say anything about it. Until that evening, they sat on the edge of the tower. Just like they had during the hardest days of the war, the sky was orange and gold, and the stars were slowly waking up. Lisa held a small cup of tea. Kale held a small box, a new communicator he had built. Simple, light, just enough to send messages across worlds. After a long silence, he finally spoke. "Do you ever wonder what happens now?" Lisa looked at him all the time. He gave a weak smile. "When the war was happening, I knew my place. I knew what to fight for. I knew what I had to fix. But now, you feel lost?" Nodded. Lisée set her tea down. "I thought I'd feel happy once I found you," she said softly. Even when we were side by side, I still felt far. From you, like we were walking the same path, but not together." Kale looked away. "Maybe I was scared again. Not of dying, but of living after, what I was supposed to do." She leaned against his shoulder. "We're not the only ones. Everyone here is learning how to live again," sighed. "Maybe we need to stop trying to go back to who we were before," Lisa smiled. "Maybe we should become who we're meant to be now." Down below, a crowd gathered near the base of the tower. Admiral Reyes was giving a farewell speech. The humans were preparing to return to Earth not because they were giving up, but because their mission was complete. "We came as warriors," Reyes said. "We leave as friends." Commander Arya Voss stood beside him, holding a small glass pendant, a gift from an Ellerin child. She glanced up at the tower where Kale and Lisa sat. They nodded at each other, not as strangers anymore, but as people who had shared something deep and real. As equals as family, Kale looked down at the communicator in his hands. "I've been thinking of something," he said. Lisa looked at him. "What if I don't go back to Earth?" he asked. "What if I stay not just to help, but to grow something new here?" Her eyes widened. "You mean it?" he nodded. "This planet, these people, they changed me, and you brought me back to who I was, without pushing me to be who I used to be." Elise's voice was quiet. "I'd be happy if you stayed." He placed the communicator in her hands. "But I also want to build these for others, so no one ever feels as alone as I did out there, a way for distant hearts to speak, a way for people to find each other." She looked at the small device and smiled. "This is why humans are special," she whispered. "Why?" "Because even after all the pain, all the danger, you still choose to care. You still hope." Kale chuckled. "That's what makes us Deathworlders, right? Not our strength, but the way we keep going." The next morning, the humans began lifting off. Massive ships rose into the sky. leaving soft gusts of wind behind. Crowds waved and cheered. Children held handmade signs. Lisa and Kale stood together, watching. Arya approached them, holding her gear bag, leaving. Kale asked, "Not forever," she said. "Just long enough to tell Earth about what we found here." She looked between the two of them. "I think you two found more than just each other." Kale nodded. "We did." As Arya turned to leave, she paused. "Keep building bridges," she said with a smile. Kale raised the communicator in his hand. "We will." That night, under a quiet sky, Lisa and Kale walked through the garden behind the tower. She asked him softly, "Do you still feel far away?" He took her hand. "No," he said. "I feel home." They walked forward, their shadows side by side. The war had ended, but the story had just begun. The sky over Alaris was no longer full of fire. For the first time in months, it was calm. The human ships still floated in orbit, like quiet giants watching from above. Below, in the city of Aurelian, people worked side by side, Ellerin and human, building what had been broken. But even in the quiet, Lisa felt a strange kind of distance. Her brother Kale was alive. They had found each other. That should have been the happiest moment of her life, and it was. But something had changed. Kale had been through so much. The weeks he had spent hiding, helping survivors, and staying strong had made him different. He smiled less. He often stayed quiet. Sometimes he stared at the stars, as if searching for something far away. Lisa didn't know how to speak to him like before. She still loved him deeply, but they felt distant, like they were standing across a wide bridge, each unsure how. To step forward, one evening, she found Kale sitting on a rooftop, fixing a broken radio with human tools. "Still trying to rebuild that old thing?" she asked gently. He looked up and smiled. "It's stubborn, but I think I can get it working again." Lisa sat beside him. The stars above sparkled softly, the same stars they used to watch together. "You've been quiet," she said. "I've just been thinking," Kale replied. "About what?" He paused. "About the people we lost. About what's next. About whether I still belong here." Lisa looked at him, surprised. "Of course you do." Kale lowered his eyes. "Sometimes I feel like I'm not the same person anymore. Like I left myself behind in that valley." Lisa reached out and touched his hand. "You didn't leave yourself. You just grew stronger." Looked at her, unsure. She added softly, "I still see my brother. The one who gave me this locket, the one who taught me not to give up. You're still him, even if you've changed." Kale said nothing, but a tear rolled quietly down his cheek. Meanwhile, Commander Arya Voss walked through the newly built training center. Human instructors were teaching Ellerin volunteers how to defend their cities. The Ellerin were fast learners, using speed and clever tactics. They didn't want to be warriors, but they wanted to protect. Admiral Reyes joined, her arms crossed. "They're doing well," he said. "Better than expected." Arya nodded. "They're learning from us, and we're learning from them." She paused, then added, "Sometimes I wonder, if we ever go home, will we feel like strangers there?" Reyes gave a small smile. "Always felt distant from home, haven't you?" Arya shrugged. "I guess Earth is beautiful, but I never felt like I belonged out here. Helping others feels right." Reyes looked out the window toward the horizon. "Maybe home isn't a place. Maybe it's what you carry with you." As more Ellerin cities were rebuilt, something new began to grow: trust. Human and Ellerin families shared meals, stories, and music. Children learned both languages. Scientists exchanged knowledge. One special project was started by Kale and a human engineer named Silva, a large communication tower meant to connect all Ellerin cities with Earth's deep space relay. They called it the bridge. This wasn't just made of metal and code. It was a symbol of connection, unity, and the choice to come together rather than drift apart. But Kale still seemed uncertain. One night, Lisa sat by herself near the tower. She watched workers install the final panel. In the distance, human and Ellerin flags fluttered side by side. Jensen walked up, his arm still bandaged from the last mission. "You're quiet today," he said. Lisa smiled faintly. "Seems like that's going around." He sat beside her. "Kale's still distant," she nodded. "He's here, but part of him isn't. I want to help him, but I don't know how." Jensen thought for a moment, then said, "You ever think? Maybe he's scared? Scared of letting people in again? Feeling something only to lose it again? When you've been in the dark too long, the light hurts your eyes." Lisa looked down. "So what do I do?" "Don't try to." "Fix him," Jensen said softly. "Just walk beside him. Let him know he's not alone."
Oh.
The next morning, Kale stood by the tower, holding a transmitter. The bridge was ready. The first message would be his. He stared at the screen for a long time. Then he felt a hand slip into his Lisa's. She said nothing, just stood beside him. Kale closed his eyes, then pressed the button. To Earth, and to all listening, this is Kal-El of Alaris. We were lost, but we were found. We were broken, but we are building again. We are not the same, but we are still ourselves. Together, we are stronger than ever. The message echoed across stars. Later, Kale and Lisa sat beneath a tree, looking up at the sky. "I'm sorry I pulled away," Kale said. Lisa smiled gently. "I was waiting for you to come back. But maybe I should have just walked beside you." He nodded. He did, even when I didn't see it. They sat in silence, warm and close. Above them, stars sparkled. The fleet hovered, and the bridge stood tall, shining with hope. Asterisk storm clouds gathered over the plains of Alaris. They weren't made of rain, they were carkle ships. The skies above the planet once again held danger. Despite the rebuilding, despite the peace, the war wasn't over. The carkle were regrouping. Their forces were larger now, their weapons more powerful. This time, they wanted to crush Alaris for good. Inside the command center, everyone knew it. Admiral Reyes looked at the digital map. "They're coming from 3 directions," he said. "They want to trap us." Commander Arya stood beside him. "We need to move first. Need to fight together, humans and Ellerin, like we trained." Reyes nodded. "We'll give them one message. We're not afraid. And we're not alone." Kale stood on the tower platform watching the sky. He had been helping with the new citywide alert systems. It was a big job, but one that gave him purpose. Yet today, the weight in his chest returned. The fleet was coming. He knew what that meant. It meant loss. It meant fear. It meant more families torn apart. He looked out over the buildings. Where Ellerin children were still playing and human engineers, fixed power grids. This world, this fragile, healing place, could be broken again. And worst of all, he hadn't spoken to Lisa all day. They had come so far. But now he felt the old distance returning. It wasn't anger or sadness. It was fear. Fear that something would happen to her and he'd lose her just when he found her again. He didn't know how to say that, so he stayed silent. Lisa was in the medical wing, preparing supplies for the defense teams. Her hands moved quickly, but her mind wandered. She hadn't seen Kale since morning. He was quiet again, pulled away. It hurt not because he was angry, but because he wasn't, because he was scared. She could feel it. Every time he looked at her with love in his eyes, it was like he was already afraid of saying goodbye, and she didn't know how to reach through that wall. She paused, looking at a small photo they had taken together days earlier, a smiling picture of them sitting under a tree. She smiled faintly. "I'm still here," she whispered. "You don't have to be afraid." That evening, the attack began. Sirens echoed through the city. Ships scrambled to defend. Human and Ellerin troops rushed into position. The carkle moved. Fast, but this time, the defense was ready. This time, they were not fighting alone. Kale ran toward the bridge, working to keep the communication grid stable. A single broken signal could cost hundreds of lives. In the middle of the battle, one of the towers near the shield line was hit. Fires erupted. Signals dropped. Kale looked at the screen. The map was blinking red. "That tower is down," he said aloud. "We'll lose half our grid if we don't fix it." "But it's in the active zone," an officer warned. It's not safe. Kale's mind raced. Then he made a choice. I'll go. Commander Arya was leading air support when the alert came in. Her team was protecting the west zone when Kale's voice broke through her earpiece. I'm going to repair the damaged signal tower. I need 10 minutes. Arya's eyes widened. Kale, that's too dangerous. I know, he said. We'll lose communication without it. She hesitated, and she radioed her pilots. Clear a path to the north tower. Keep it open. We're protecting one of our own. Lisa heard the message too. Her heart dropped. She ran from the medical wing, pushing through the crowd. Jensen stopped her at the gate. You can't go out there. I have to, she said, her voice shaking. It's Kale, he's out there. And I'm not letting him do it alone. Jensen looked into her eyes, then handed her a helmet. Then let's go. Kale reached the tower and climbed fast. Fire licked the walls. The sound of battle echoed around him. Still he kept moving. His hands worked quickly. Cables, circuits, connections. It was like solving a puzzle in a storm. The signal flickered, then steadied. The map on his screen turned green. He smiled, then the tower shook. A Karkal ship had spotted him. Kale ducked as a blast hit the ground nearby. The tower groaned. He held onto the railing, heart pounding. Just then, a voice yelled his name. Kale. He looked down. Lisa was running toward him. Jensen right behind. What are you doing here? Called out. What you always did for. Me, she said, her eyes full of tears, showing up. I'll help them climb up. Together they secured the tower and linked it back to the command center. As they worked, Kale finally turned to Lisa. I'm sorry I pulled away. She shook her head. You were scared? So was I. He took her hand. I thought if I stayed close, I might lose you. Yes. I'd lose you away. She asked. I'd lose you anyway. They looked at each other. No more walls. No more. Silence. Just truth. Just love. The tower stood strong. The grid was saved. With full communication restored, the human Alaran forces launched a powerful counterattack. Together, on the peaceful green hills outside the city of Aurelion, Lisa stood alone, watching the skies. The human fleet still hovered above the planet, large and powerful. Their ships were not like anything she had ever seen before, shaped like blades, moving silently, glowing with soft blue energy. They looked like shadows in the sky, not shadows of fear, but of protection. Still, even with the fleet above and human soldiers helping in the streets, Lisa felt something missing. Her brother Kale. It had been weeks since she sent the message. Weeks since the humans came. They brought food, medicine, engineers, everything the Alaran people needed. The people slowly smiled again. But Lisa still waited for one smile. Kale's. No messages, no signal, no goodbye. Only silence. She walked through the refugee camps every day, helped organize families, gave children warm blankets, comforted the old. People called her brave, strong, but inside her heart was quiet, like a voice trying to speak with no sound. She missed Kale's silly jokes, the way he always fixed things, even when they weren't broken, the way he believed in people, even when they didn't believe in themselves. She remembered the day. He left. I'll only be gone 1 year, he said with a grin, placing the silver locket in her hand. Keep this safe. When I come back, we'll watch the skies together again. Now Lisa watched the skies alone. That afternoon, she met Commander Arya Voss at the new Alaran Human Coordination Center. Arya was kind, strong, but quiet. She always spoke with respect, never like she was above anyone. Lisa liked her. They sat on a balcony overlooking the city. Human medics treated the sick below. Alaran builders repaired broken roads. It was a new kind of peace, uncertain but real. You look tired, Arya said gently. Lisa gave a small smile. I am, not from work, from waiting. Arya nodded, understanding. For someone, Lisa hesitated. My brother, his name, is Kale. He was in the southern continent when the war started. I haven't heard from him since. He always kept his promises, but this time, her voice cracked. Arya's eyes softened. KLL? Lisa looked up quickly. Yes, Arya. Reached into her coat pocket, she took out a small device and tapped it. A hologram flickered to life, a blurry image of a young Ellerin man with warm eyes and a crooked smile. He helped one of our squads escape a Karkal ambush. He led refugees to a mountain shelter, Arya explained. We've been trying to locate him ever since. He's alive but lost. Tears formed in Lisa's eyes. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for telling me. Arya placed a hand on her shoulder. We'll find him, that's a promise. But that night, fear returned. The Karkal weren't done. They launched. Another attack, fast and brutal. Screams filled the city. Warning sirens echoed through the air. People ran for shelters. Human ships activated shields. Soldiers rushed into position. Lisa helped guide children into bunkers, her hands shaking. Not from fear for herself, but fear that Kale might be out there. In danger again. Outside, human fighter ships lit the skies with glowing trails. They danced around Karkal cruisers, dodging blasts and returning fire with perfect accuracy. It was like watching storms fight from the rooftops. She saw Admiral Reyes directing the defense. Calmly, no. Panic, no. Retreat, just determination. The humans didn't just fight with power. They fought with purpose. They made walls with their bodies, too. Protect civilians. They carried wounded Ellerin on their backs through fire. They stayed, even when it was easier to leave. And as the Karkal ships finally retreated, the people of Aurelian didn't cheer, they didn't shout, they stood in silence, and then began to cry. Not in fear, but in relief, in gratitude, in awe. Later that evening, Lisa sat by a small fire outside the shelter. The stars above were calm again. She held her locket close, staring at the flame. I hope you're okay, Kale, she whispered. I hope you're proud. You didn't notice when someone sat beside her. A human soldier, tall, quiet, and young. His name tag read Corporal Jensen. He offered her a warm drink. She took it with a nod. Is this your home? He asked softly. It was, she said. Now it's something else. He looked around. I've never seen a place like this. Your people, your cities, they build with light. They build with steel. She smiled. Both are strong, Jensen grinned. Like that. They sat in silence for a while. Then she asked, why did you come? Why did humans answer the call when others didn't? He looked at the sky. My little sister once got stuck on a mountain during a storm. Everyone said it was too dangerous to go, but I didn't care. I went anyway. That's just what you do for someone you care about. He looked back at her. You don't leave people behind, not if you can help it. That night, Lisa wrote a message. She didn't know if Kale would ever hear it, but she wrote it anyway. Asterisk, Dear Kale, the humans came. They didn't ignore us. They didn't ask for reward. They just came. You would have liked them. Helping them now? Helping our people, like you taught me. If you're out there, please hold on. I'll find you. It's just like you always found me. With love, Lisa. Asterisk, she uploaded the message into the human fleet's system. And somewhere, in the distance, beyond the hills and stars, maybe, just maybe, Kale would hear her voice. Asterisk, the sun rose over the broken buildings of Aurelian. Light touched the crystal. Towers, many of them shattered but still standing tall. The city was healing slowly, carefully, with the help of the Deathworlders. Lisa stood near a human medical station, handing out food to Ellerin children. Some of them had lost their parents. Others couldn't speak after what they saw during the Karkal attack. But when they saw her smile and the quiet, kind faces of the humans beside her, their eyes began to shine again. Still, even while helping, Lisa's heart stayed heavy. She missed Kale. She had sent a message through the human system, hoping he would somehow receive it. Every time she passed a communications terminal, she checked for replies. None came. Was he even alive? Was he trying to find her, like she was trying to find him? She didn't know. That feeling of loving someone far away, of not knowing how, to reach them was like a silent ache in her chest. But she held on to hope, because now she wasn't alone. Commander Arya Voss stood at a large strategy table in the main war room. Beside her was Admiral Reyes, along with a group of senior Ellerin and human officers. The next Karkal assault was expected within days, but this time, Earth wasn't going to just defend. They were planning to strike back, not to destroy, but to give Ellerin people room to breathe again. Reyes turned to Arya. You've led humanitarian missions before, but this will be different. We'll be flying into their space. I understand, Arya said firmly. Reyes looked at her closely. You're not just doing this for Alaris, are you? She hesitated, then replied quietly, There's someone I care about. Someone who might still be out there. Reyes nodded slowly. Then let's make sure we bring him and everyone else home. The next day, human troops prepared for a rescue mission. One of the last known Karkal strongholds was located near the Black Valley, where a group of Ellerin survivors had reportedly taken shelter. Among the whispers, a human scientist had helped them hide. Lisa joined the mission. She couldn't stay behind anymore. She had to try. She had to hope that Kale was there. Corporal Jensen volunteered too. He had grown protective of Lisa and treated her like a younger sister. As they climbed into the armored transport, he offered her a helmet. You ready? He asked. Lisa took a deep breath. As ready as I'll ever be. The ship lifted into the sky, heading toward the dark line of mountains that marked the edge of safety. The Black Valley was cold and quiet. The trees stood tall like silent guards. Karkal ships circled in the distance. The human team landed at night, using stealth gear and tracking equipment. Their mission was clear. Find the hidden shelter, get the survivors, and leave without being seen. But Karkal scouts had other plans. They found the trail. Within an hour, the forest lit up with explosions. Arya led the defense. Shield the civilians. Keep the path clear. Human and Ellerin soldiers fought side by side. Though outnumbered, the humans moved fast, rolling, diving, covering their allies. They used terrain, surprise, and brilliant tactics that turned weakness into strength. Lisa watched in amazement. They weren't just strong, they were smart. They protected life. Every decision was made not to win the fight, but to save people. Jensen took a shot to the shoulder while shielding a young Ellerin girl. He still smiled as he handed her to a medic. I'm okay, he said. I've had worse back on Earth. Poison frogs, giant cats. You name it. Lisa stared at him. You're crazy, he grinned. Yeah, but you're braver, finally. They reached the entrance to an old mining cave. Hidden inside, nearly 50 Ellerin huddled together, cold, hungry, but alive, and they're sitting near a fire. Holding a small child on his lap. Was Kale? Lisa froze. Kale. She whispered. He looked up. For a moment, the world stopped. He stood slowly, eyes wide, locket still hanging around his neck. You found me, he said softly. Lisa ran to him, tears spilling from her eyes. She wrapped her arms around him, holding him tightly. I thought I lost you. I never stopped looking for you, Kale whispered. The team quickly helped the survivors prepare to move. Arya walked over to Kale and nodded. So you're the one who started all this, she said. Kale gave a tired smile. I just wanted someone to help. You got more than that, she said gently. Kale looked at Lisa, then at the soldiers around him. Yes, I did. As the team flew back through, the stars, the survivors, safe and sound. The galaxy is vast, and danger can come without warning. When a peaceful alien alliance sent a desperate call for help, they expected aid. ... Maybe a few ships. But what appeared on their scanners was something far more powerful and far more human. This is the story of the Deathworlder fleet. In the quiet city of Luron, under the glowing blue sky of the planet Alaris, Lisa stood alone on the balcony of the High Council Hall. Below her, smoke rose from the distance. Cities burned, homes were lost, and families were separated, just like hers. She held a small silver locket in her hand. It was old, a gift from her brother Kale before he left for the southern continent to study science at the Ellerin Academy. That was 2 years ago. She still remembered the promise he made, I'll come back, no matter what. But war had come instead. The Karkal Dominion, a cruel alien empire, had attacked without mercy. They destroyed colonies, seized resources, and showed no interest in peace. The Ellerin army tried to fight back, but they were small and peaceful by nature. Every day, they lost more, and Kale had gone silent. Lisa hadn't heard from him in over 6 weeks. She sent messages, but none returned. The military said they had no records. Friends told her he might be gone, but she couldn't believe that. Not yet. She held onto the locket tightly. Inside the council chamber, the leaders of Alaris were shouting again. Some said they should surrender. Others said they should run. No one agreed on what to do. Lisa was only a junior diplomat, young, and unimportant to most. But she stood and spoke. "We must ask for help," she said, her voice shaking but clear. Someone, somewhere in the stars, might answer. The room fell silent. "Help," an elder said. "From who?" "The other empires turned their backs. No one wants to fight the Karkal." Lisa looked up. Not an empire, anyone. Just someone who still cares. Someone who hears the cry of the weak. The council debated for hours more. In the end, they said no. Too risky. Too shameful. But Lisa didn't stop. That night, she snuck into the old communications tower, the one still connected to the long-range beacon. She knew how to operate it. Her brother had taught her once during a summer visit. Back when he used to laugh. Back when things were simple. With trembling fingers, she recorded a message. "This is Lisa of the Ellerin people. We are peaceful. We are under attack. We have lost many. We do not seek war. We seek hope. If you hear this, and you have the power to help, we beg you, come please." She sent it across the stars, a single signal, one chance, and she waited. The days passed slowly. The Karkal attacked again. Cities fell. Families were scattered. Lisa spent her time helping refugees, feeding children, and organizing shelters. But inside, she still felt alone. She missed Kale. She missed their long talks, his quiet strength, and how he always believed things would work out even when they didn't look good. Now, even she was starting to lose that hope. One morning, she sat in the field where she and Kale used to watch the night sky. She looked up. Was it a mistake? She whispered to the stars. Did no one hear me? Then the ground shook. Across the plains of Alaris, the sky turned gold, not from fire, but from ships. Hundreds of them. Big, strong, dark metal crafts. With glowing blue engines, they didn't look like Karkal ships. And they didn't come with weapons firing. They just hovered, waiting. Lisa ran to the city center. So did many others. Fear turned to confusion. Then confusion turned to silence. From one of the ships, a message played across all channels. To the Ellerin people. "We heard your signal. We came to help. We are humans of Earth. You may know us as Deathworlders, but we came not to destroy. We came to stand by those who ask." Gasps filled the streets. Human stories had been told of them. Strange creatures from a dangerous planet. Survivors of fire and ice, poison and war. Some said they were monsters. Others said they were legends. But here they were. Lisa stood in awe as one of the human ships landed nearby. The metal door opened slowly, and from it stepped a tall figure. In dark armor, human male with graying hair and calm eyes. He removed his helmet and looked around. "I am Admiral Reyes," he said simply. "Who sent the signal?" Lisa stepped forward, heart racing. "I did," she said quietly. The Admiral studied her. "Then you're the reason we're here." Shh. Blinked. "Why? Why did you come?" He smiled gently. "'Cause someone had to." That night, the humans set up defense lines. Medical ships landed. Engineers began helping with repairs. And for the first time in weeks, the Ellerin slept without fear. Lisa walked back to the field again. She looked up at the stars. Kale was still missing. She didn't know if he was alive. But now something in her heart was brighter. Not because the war was over, it wasn't. But because someone heard. Because even in the darkest corners of space, there were still people who chose to act. Who chose to stand with the weak. Who chose to hope. And as she closed her eyes, Holding the locket close to her heart, Lisa whispered, "Thank you, Kale. You were right. Someone did care." Asterisk back on Earth, far from the peaceful world of Alaris. The signal came through in a quiet command center under the surface of Luna Base. Commander Arya Voss stared at the message glowing on her screen. The voice was soft. The language had to be translated. But the pain in it was clear. "We are peaceful. We are under attack. We do not seek war. We seek hope. If you hear this, and you have the power to help, we beg you, come." Arya didn't move. Her heart ached. She had heard cries like this before many times during the early years of the expansion wars, but this voice felt different. It reminded her of a friend she once had, a friend now far away. His name was Liam. Kale. Liam and Arya had trained together at the Mars Academy years ago. They were both top of their class. He was always the calm one. She was the determined one. Together, they dreamed of serving Earth in peace missions, helping other species, solving problems, being remembered not for war, but for kindness. Then came the postings. Liam was assigned to a science program off-world. A peaceful job. Far away. Arya stayed with the United Human Systems fleet. She rose fast, became commander, and led important missions. But slowly, they stopped talking. The distance wasn't just in stars, it was in time, in silence. In everything unsaid. Now, years later, Arya still thought of him, wondered if he was all right, wondered if he remembered. When she heard the alien message, her heart whispered a name: Calwell. She walked quickly to Admiral Rhea's office. He was the man who led Earth's most trusted peace defense force. Strong, wise, and respected by all. He looked up as she entered. "Yes, Commander," she saluted. "Sir, we've received an SOS from a planet called Alaris. It's peaceful people, under attack by a hostile species named Karkle." He nodded slowly. "Any known treaties?" "None, sir. But they're not fighters. Their tech is older. Their defenses are weak. It's bad." Reyes leaned back. "And why bring it to me?" She paused, then said softly, "Because someone should answer. Because if we don't, who will?" Watched her eyes steady. Then he stood. "Get the fleet ready." Word spread quickly. Across Earth's moon stations, Martian colonies, and Titan bases, engineers prepared ships, medical units packed supplies, pilots trained in drills, not for conquest, but for aid. The Deathworlders were moving, though the galaxy feared them. For their strength and survival skills, humanity had changed. Earth had learned. They no longer fought to destroy. They fought to protect. And deep inside, Arya hoped. Maybe Liam would see the ships. Maybe he was on Alaris. Maybe he had heard the same cry and felt the same pull. The journey was long. They traveled through wormholes, past abandoned outposts, and drifted through silent nebulae. On the way, Arya studied the Ellerin people. They were soft-spoken, artistic, and gentle. Their buildings were made of crystal and light. Their hearts were open. She admired them, but she also feared for them. The Karkle had wiped out civilizations before. They didn't speak. They simply took. As they neared Alaris, the first images came through. Fires, collapsed cities, broken towers, and then something unexpected. On one of the outer colonies, a message beacon flashed. A human code, an old one. Arya leaned in. Pause, feed, zoom. The name appeared clearly. Kale L. Emergency signal active. Her heart stopped. Kale was alive. Somehow, some way, he had ended up on Alaris. Maybe his science assignment brought him here. Maybe he had been caught in the war, but he was out there. She felt a strange mix of fear and joy. Fear that it was too late. Joy that she might find him. She pressed the fleet-wide come. "This is Commander Arya Voss. We have reason to believe a fellow human is on the planet. Priority is to protect civilians and search for Kale. He may be the reason this signal even reached us." They arrived near the largest Ellerin city. Ships landed. Slowly, quietly. No weapons fired. The people looked up in fear. Then awe. Human soldiers stepped out, but not with guns raised. With supplies, with blankets, with water. With open hands, Arya walked through the center, searching. She saw the beauty of the Ellerin. People, even in their pain, children clung to parents. Artists wept at their burned galleries. But hope sparked in their eyes when they saw the humans. She asked around, "Has anyone seen another human? A man named Kale?" One young Ellerin girl tugged her sleeve. "There was a man like you, kind. He helped me find my mother when the sky burned. He wore a round necklace, and he smiled like the stars." Arya's throat tightened. "Do you know where he went?" She pointed toward the hills outside the city. Arya rode out at once with a small search team.